on behalf of Sherri and her family, she's going to share her story. Now, at times it may come emotional, so there are some tissues on the table if you need some. Carly, I'm going to stand on this side. I will dab your eyes. You don't even need to look up from the paper. I will just stand by nearby. But she's here to share Sherri's story with us, and that will help keep things framed for this evening as we get set to raise some great dollars for a fantastic cause and a fantastic person. So without further ado, here is Carly to share the story.
Thanks, Darcy. Give him a round of applause, first of all. Yeah, we appreciate you so much. Wow, is all I can say. It's hard to believe that this day is finally here. As he just said, my name is Carly Prinz, for those that don't know who I am. And I'm Sherri's sister. On behalf of my family and I don't cry already. We just can't thank you enough for being here with us tonight. When Twyla, Lori, and I began the planning stages 7 months ago, we sat around a table brainstorming, wondering what we were going to do. We thought we needed big names like Shania Twain and Avril Lavigne, both of which who have experienced Lyme disease firsthand and know the crippling effects of that. We thought we needed them to help us put a fundraiser on, and boy were we wrong. All right, each one of you and countless businesses in the surrounding area have literally blown us away. Selling tickets out in 10 days. Unsurmountable support and outpouring of love has been palpable over the last few weeks, so thank you for that. It's more than we could have ever imagined or hoped for, so thank you. Before I say a few words though, there's some people in here I was asked to kind of fill in the connections a bit, so I'm just going to ask my parents, Brenda and Dale Booth, and Byron and Melody Deardoff to just stand up. Those are our connections here. So my maiden name is Deardoff, and then my parents Booth and Byron and Melody Deardoff. Okay? So, thank you. It's hard for my family to be on the receiving end of things, as I'm sure most of you can relate to. It's much more comfortable to give than it is to receive. But my sister needs this. So, thank you for being here. If you haven't met Sherri yet, I would have to say that you're missing out. She's one of the rare ones, and, one of the most amazing, genuine, giving, selfless individuals that you'll ever, ever have the chance to meet. And she would do anything for anyone at any given time, no questions asked. And even in her current state now, she is literally, she gives as much as she can to those that are in need. So I wanted to explain a little bit in a few short minutes. I know it's hard to wrap it all up in the time that I have with you, but just so you guys can kind of get a glimpse into what she's been dealing with every single day for the last 10 years. Not so that you feel sorry for her, because that's not what she would want, but just so that to raise awareness for mold toxicity and Lyme disease, because that's what she's suffering from. So, you see, 10 years ago, she developed a random rash on her leg after a trip to BC. She had doctor's appointments, she could be on antibiotics, it would go away, come back, type of thing. And that's how it all started. Little did we know that 10 years later, she'd be fighting for her life with the biggest uphill health battle that she's ever had. So that's why we're here today. 7 years ago, after sending some tests to the States, she was given the diagnosis of Lyme disease. 4 years after that, diagnosis of mold toxicity from a doctor in Edmonton. So if you know anything about those, they're both debilitating on their own, and put together, it's like this perfect storm has been created inside of her body. Although looking from the outside in, you would never know. Sherri never knows when she wakes up what kind of day it's going to be. Some days she's too weak to walk. She makes a game out of it with her 5-year-old daughter to crawl around on the floor because she doesn't want to see her not be able to walk. By the way, she has an 18-year-old daughter who's in Lethbridge for school and a 5-year-old. So both girls. Sorry, I lost my... She doesn't want Liera to see how weak her legs are by not being able to stand up. Other days, one side of her body will be completely numb and just not work properly. Her head feels like she's constantly in a fog, and even on her best days, which are few and far between, she feels like she has the worst flu imaginable. Her quality of life has been completely stripped away from her, when all she wants to do is just the normal everyday activities that we take for granted, right? Like driving her daughter to school, being parent helper, going to get groceries, going shopping, all those things that we do without even thinking. She has to plan before she can even have a shower, because that takes hours to recover afterwards. She has to kind of pick and choose what she's going to do in a day. It's kind of like the spoon analogy. She only has so many spoons to spend on certain things, and they have to be prioritized. So when she has a special event, like for her daughter's graduation, some of you would have been there. You would have seen that she probably looks pretty normal to the outside, but for a week after, you don't see the crippling effects that did for her. So it'll take her days, maybe even a full week to recover after those types of things. She hasn't driven in over 2 years. She just doesn't feel like her reaction time would be up to par and doesn't want to put anyone at risk in case random symptoms pop up while she was driving. And just to put perspective, even last week she was walking her daughter to kindergarten. My mom on standby just in case she couldn't do it. And on the way back, she just had to drag her leg behind her. Leah was at school, but this is what she deals with, so she's trying, but some of those things just come out of nowhere, right? And something like that would even wipe her out for hours afterwards or even days. The way she feels and the multitude of symptoms can change day to day, and even moment to moment. Like you can see, it's truly affecting every aspect of her life, and again, that's why we're here today. It's hard to watch, especially when you know how independent and strong she's used to being. It's hard to sit back and see that. We just simply want people to kind of grasp a small glimpse of what she has to deal with the Lyme and the mold behind closed doors, and nobody at the age of 38 should have to deal with that. So there's an Avril Lavigne song, actually, some of you might have heard this before, called Head Above Water, that she wrote to describe her personal struggle with her with Lyme disease, because Avril had that. And I just kind of wanted to share a little bit of it with you because it describes and is a perfect metaphor for what Sherri has to deal with on a daily basis. So it goes a little something like this. We got to keep the calm before the storm. I don't want less. I don't want more. Through this journey, my sister has realized the concept of living day to day to its fullest, as she truly never knows when it could be her last. The simple, ordinary things she appreciates so much more and doesn't take any of her good moments, although fleeting, for granted. The next line is, I must bar the windows and the doors to keep me safe, to keep me warm. My life is what I'm fighting for. Can't part the sea, can't reach the shore. She's in this constant battle of trying to, like you say, reach the shore, where she can't part the sea, she can't reach the shore, but she's constantly in that state of, is she drowning, can she surface? It's just literally a fight for her life. I won't let this pull me overboard. God, help keep my head above water. Don't let me drown. It gets harder. I'll meet you there at the altar as I fall down to my knees. Don't let me drown. It's hard to continue to have hope when the daily burdens are sometimes too heavy to bear, when it feels like so much needs to happen in order for you to get where you want to be, and you're not even sure if what you do will ever get you there. But Sherri is one of the strongest women I know, both mentally and physically, and we should all be inspired by her story. So, the next part is, so pull me up from down below, because I'm underneath the undertow. Come dry me off and hold me close. I need you now, I need you most. Living with Lyme can be very lonely. It makes you isolated from the entire world and forgotten about most days. After having a small glimpse of what is happening here, though, I'm sure she's going to feel the love like she hasn't in a really long time, so thank you for that. The next part is, I can't swim the ocean like this forever, and I can't breathe. God, keep my head above water. I lose my breath at the bottom. Come rescue me. I'll be waiting. I'm too young to fall asleep. No one at the age of 38, since 28, should have to deal with this. So every Lyme case is a little bit different. Adding mold toxicity into the mix just adds a whole other element. There's no one-size-fits-all treatment plan. There's no, here's your protocol of how this is going to get you better. She's had to meet with specialists after specialists, some in Seattle, some in Alberta here, to get a clear indication of what's going on and what needs to happen. So where do we go from here? We have an extensive treatment plan in place, just so you guys know, with some of the best specialists in Seattle. The top of the Lyme specialist in all of US is at a clinic there, and as well as some doctors here to help her as well. We know it won't be a quick fix and possibly take years to get somewhat of her health back. To what degree, we don't know. But we do know that if we don't do anything, we will be burying her, and that's the reality of what we're doing here today to prevent that from happening. Everything in her treatment plan is to be paid out of pocket. None of it's covered by healthcare. Just her supplements, IVs, and medications alone come to $3,000 a month. She needs to have, it's hard to explain, but when you get dental work done, you have cavitations in your jaw. Basically, it's like pockets of infection, and when you have mold, it's just a breeding ground that's going to continue to allow that to leak into your system. So I know it's kind of hard to grasp that, but she's had it cleaned out and dealt with, but until she gets treated, it keeps coming back. So she has to go to Vancouver to get that done, or Switzerland, but we'll opt for Vancouver. And it's $6,000 to do that. In order for her to, her system to really heal and basically begin to heal, she has to live like she's in a bubble. She can't walk into a grocery store. It's like hitting a mold. Like when you have mold toxicity, you're hypersensitive to everything around you, and so carpets have to come out. Our houses, as a general basis, probably have a little bit in it, but it doesn't bug us because we don't have, our body just kind of absorbs it, chews it up, spits it out kind of a thing. Hers can't do that. So we need to get her house professionally remediated by some people in Calgary so she can begin to finally heal. That will be the first thing that we do, along with getting her some treatments for her monthly, as part of her monthly treatment plan. Ideally, we would love to send her to Seattle every 3 months, but it's $10,000 each time, so we'll see where that takes us, but that would be the ideal treatment plan to get her there. So I know it's hard to explain the grasp, like the depth of what's really happening in a few short minutes, and the severity of the situation that Sherri and my family's dealing with. So thanks again for being here. Unless you're going through it yourself or know somebody who is, it's incredibly hard to even grasp it. I know as our family, a few years ago, we didn't even really know the depth of what was really happening, so that's why we're here today. I have no doubt that Sherri, once she's better, she will give back in ways that she knows how, so be able to pay it forward to those that can't once she's better. So we really can't thank you enough for being here and helping my sister give her a fighting chance. If anyone has any questions at all, don't hesitate to ask. We'd be happy to answer them for you, okay? So thank you so much. And now Darcy's gonna come and make it all fun again. Okay.